Shalom, beloved. Welcome back to Code Searcher. Alright, guys, what we got here is the Ariel Sharon table again. I said after everything was over, we would come back to it, and a lot of things will make sense in hindsight. Now, I've seen the videos that are out there with the rebuke, and it's coming from both directions, Rabbi Glazerson and brothers that I love. I think there's misinformation going around about an understanding of this whole thing. I said from day one this was a sign to the Jews. Now, for the fact that Gentiles are coming out of the woodwork with opinions and assumptions is beside the point. I said that from day one. And the reason is because you have no understanding of what's going on here anyway. I've done research on this for several years. Before Carl Gallup's come up with a book about a Kaduri that met the Messiah, I was already looking into this. God had already told me Ariel Sharon's death would be a sign to the Jews. And it goes way back to the disengagement, giving land to the Palestinians, guilt offerings, I mean the 7 lambs, the 7 years, all of that. Now the fact that Kaduri emerges in this only solidified to me from God that this was a sign from Him. So, you know, I stand firm on my position on this. Now, if you recall, this section of the, I'm just a little, you know, aggravated about this whole thing, and I waited till after they buried the man out of respect to even answer. The whole point of this is because it is connected to the Messiah's return. It's a benchmark or a marking in the timeline, an indication of things that are coming. Now, what I want to point out here is that this general area where I said I felt like God was telling me the answer was here in this quadrant with the prediction of days or the prophecy of days, Ariel, Sharon, the 7 in there, Sharon going at an angle this way. But let's notice where the noon is, because this is already established. Sharon was already here. Arik, his name, completion right there in the killing. You know, Chris had discovered there was possibly an indication, and it was based on reports that the sons may pull the plug, and the codes did verify that there was euthanasia come up twice with the killing here. Gilad, a son of Ariel, a sign. I'm just refreshing your memory of where this was in this table. So, I had originally said that I felt like God was saying that Adar 27, which was the date indicated here in this line, which was the day after his birthday. Hello, that sticks out. So obviously, I thought that was something significant. I did find another anomaly with that, and that was what happens exactly 7 months to the day from this point, which is the first of Tishri, or Rosh Hashanah, around Rosh Hashanah, Yom Teruah. So that drawing me to that point, this place is where we found the rest here, which down by the noon in Sharon here. And this is in hindsight. This is after we found out everything, the day, the month, and so forth. Son of Man right here in this verse. Now, the tet, the red tet that sits right here, I want you to notice this now, because it was the month Shavat, and we had here before, Shavat was here. God had already showed me the month and the year, and You know, I'd asked for the exact day and kind of went out on a limb there, but I want to show you that it is indeed here, right here in plain sight, where we were the whole time. Notice this, Shavat, in one line, Shavat, and I believe there's a skip of 46. We can go and look and make sure. 46, Shavat, it's in that line, okay? And that's with this tet. Now this tet is also connected with Shavat again, and you can see it here, Shavat. And if you saw back when I had it over there, there was a larger, skip here, Shavat. Showing you that now. Shavat to the tet again. Alright, Shavat was also up here with the formation of the 7, Shavat. Now I did take out Adar. It's established Adar probably had something to do with his birth, which he was born in Adar. Back to the tet. So, if we take into consideration this, Sharon in the blue, the noon stops here, Son of Man. And then you look at this really hard, because in the pink right here we've got the funeral right there. It's also in this verse here and buried right there. But take a look at this. Shavat. And not only that, Shavat 10. The exact day. Right there. With Son of Man and the noon in Sharon. Right there in a small area with funeral and buried and funeral and completion and euthanasia. Right there. The whole time. And that was my point about this. What emerges in hindsight, it will emerge right in your face. And that happened so many times with so many other code searchers that that's why I knew in this section the answer was right there. So let's take a look at what the verse is actually there, which happens to be talking about an actual death. And this is in Jeremiah 22 and 7 is where we'll start. And I will prepare destroyers against thee, everyone with his weapons, and they shall cut down thy choice cedars and cast them into the fire. And many nations shall pass by this city, and they shall say every man to his neighbor, wherefore hath the Lord done thus unto this great city? And they shall answer, because he hath forsaken the covenant of the Lord their God, and worshipped other gods, and served them. Weep ye not for the dead, neither bemoan him, but weep sore for him that goeth away, for he shall not return, for he shall return no more, nor see his native country. Listen to this. For thus saith the Lord touching Shalom. 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 The son of Josiah, king of Judah, which reigned instead of Josiah his father, which went forth out of his place, he shall not return thither any more. But he shall die in the place whither they have laid him captive, and he shall see the land no more. I mean, in the plain text, it's clear what that is, but taking into consideration what's here, I mean, it's and what happened with Sharon. It's a sign to the Jews. What happened with the land? Okay, Gentiles. So calm down with your accusations about Kaduri. So I want to put this to rest, because from here on, God was showing me something else, and this is the whole point behind this. That this was a sign, and it was going to mark something, and there's more to come. So I've been looking at things like fullness of the Gentiles. Something really interesting emerges in this, and in any kind of table like this, I always run years to see what comes up and how. 2 years comes up in this, exactly the same skip, except one is in reverse. One goes one way and one goes the other. However, the years are not successive, like 1 year and then the following. It's 2012 and 2015, so it's showing a season there. And I talked about this the other night with some people in Tiny Chat, and I believe this is what the Lord was showing me about this, that when a vessel is being filled up, it gets to a point of fullness right before it overflows. That's where we are now. We're getting into the fullness right before the overflowing. I never believed that the fullness of Gentiles would come like a light switch and just go off just one day. It would be a season, and I can clearly see that here. And there's other tables that confirm season, and I'm talking about millennial kingdom. It's only here. It's only here. I believe it's one time. Fire from heaven. I've got the Shemitah 5775, which is 2015. It's a significant year, huge year. Another second coming, and we've got rapture in there with 7 days so far. That's just very preliminary. But anyway, I want to wrap this up. This whole point about this video was about Sharon. I wanted to wrap up the thing about this and show you very clearly that the exact day is standing right there vertically with funeral and buried and Son of Man and completed. Very interesting. So, let's move on. Okay? This will make sense to somebody. It may not be you, and that's okay. You may not agree with what I'm doing here, and that's totally fine. You know, I feel really confident in what God's called me to do. I'm to be a light in darkness, and there's a lot of darkness in this kind of thing. I'm not a Kabbalist, and I realize Rabbi Glazerson is a Kabbalist. Yes, he is. Kaduri was a Kabbalist. He didn't start Kabbalist schools. He started yeshiva schools where they studied Torah, but he was a Kabbalist. That does not make him an evil man. It does not make him unapproachable by the Messiah. Okay? So let's leave that alone. Let God do what he's going to do with that. And it's going to blow your mind when you get to heaven. You're not going to care anyway. So enough said about it. So I'm going to wrap the Ariel Sharon thing up right now, unless something else comes up with it, because I know it's connected to the third temple. I know it's connected to the Antichrist, because of what they asked God in the Ariel Sharon table. It shows clearly that they're asking for a king, and God's offended. They says it's abomination. It's the same thing they're doing now. They're looking for a Messiah, the son of David. God's going to give them something. You know what it is. Yes, it is. But we know the end game. The mountain splits. He comes back. So don't sweat all of that stuff. God is doing something with Israel. He still loves this people. So God bless you, and see you in the next video.